Waste incineration. Chronic poisoning of the people, Part 2. Analogy to cigarette burn down. As an introduction to the problematic nature of combustion processes, we can use the comparison to the burning down of a cigarette. How happy would the tobacco industry be if cigarettes only imitated nicotine? When tobacco has been set alight, however, many other harmful substances are produced which weren't in the cigarette to start with. For with recent health warnings about potentially fatal disease have been printed on each packet of cigarettes for quite a long time. For this reason, non-smokers have recently been protected from passive smoking in public areas. Citizens' basic right to life and freedom from bodily harm finally has prevailed in the protection of non-smokers. The pending constitutional challenge by the Restaurant and Pub Owners Association stands little change according to the Berlin constitutional lawyers Peter Sodan, even if the leading plaintiffs were able to substantiate a drop in turnover due to smoking bans. In the case, the principle of reasonableness would prevail along with the weighing of public interests, which are very highly positioned in our country. According to Sodan, a state's obligation to protect its citizen enjoys a higher priority than the entitlement to preserve economic framework conditions. While nicotine is tobacco's dominant natural harmful substance and cadmium accumulates in tobacco plants just as it does in mushrooms, it is the burning of a cigarette that gives rise to the dreaded additional carcinogenic harmful substances. As with other plant cells, tobacco also consists of about 300 natural substances as the polysaccharide cellulose in the cell walls and fibers, sodium chloride, the psychological common of the table salt. When tobacco is ignited, heat energy destroys carbon compounds in the cellulose. The cellulose polymer is broken up into many fragments. The thermal dissociation, as one would expect, results in fragments with unpaired electrons, highly active radicals. Above a temperature of 800 degrees Celsius, common salt also disintegrates into radicals. The chlorine radicals react with the cellulose fragments to from chlorinated hydrocarbons, which belong to the more than 40 carcinogens detected so far. The larger polychlorinated biphenyls and dioxin furans are formed in the cigarette cooler condensation area, next to where the ash is burning. The less oxygen sucked into a cigarette, the more halogenation occurs. The highest halogenation level is attained when the cigarette burns down all by itself, burning incompletely. The halogens' high electronegativity, orbital electronegativity, causes them to drift towards the carbon of the cellulose fragments, which, when a cigarette does not burn fully, were not oxidized previously. The so-called secondary smoke is a passively burning cigarette is thus 1,000 to 100 times more toxic than the main smoke that is actively sucked in. Through the burning process, over 4,000 new substances are synthesized, from tobacco approximately 300 natural substances. More than 40 of these have been identified as being carcinogenic. However, also direct lung toxins such as phosgenes, various aldehydes, or strong liver toxics like trichloroethan and carbon tetrachloride are formed in cigarettes from smoke, and along with the nicotine and cadmium contribute to smoking overall toxicity. The cigarette does get shorter. It is eliminated, you could say, but not one single atom disappears. The atoms are merely newly combined with each other in a radical, uncontrollable manner to form not only harmless but also highly toxic substances. Although it has been a known fact since about 80 years that smoking tobacco is toxic, and though the harmful effects of passive smoking in particular have been common knowledge for at least 30 years, the tobacco lobby persisted in delaying tactics during the concluding parliamentary treatment of the non-smoker protection law in the German Parliament Bundestag in early 1998. Year after year, the various tobacco-related illnesses result in over 90,000 deaths in Germany among smokers themselves, but also 400 lung cancer deaths and 3,000 to 5,000 cardiac circulatory related deaths among the passive smokers. Types of waste for incineration. Anyone who applies these facts and information about tobacco to waste incineration will inevitably be stuck with fear compared to tobacco, a natural substance, significantly more toxin and pre-stages sources to toxin production flow into waste incineration plants, all of which cannot have the expected consequences, much as smoking does. This table is merely the following words is merely an extract from the 9-pipe positive catalogue issued by the market leader BKB, now called reaseon Energy from Waste, which summarized what is acceptable to waste to energy or refuse-derived fuel. Planned for incineration are: first, waste plastic from the building service field. The light shredder fraction of the end-of-life vehicles contains to the yellow plastic bin in Germany, and waste plastics from the industrial and electronic fields. Second, wood, chipboard rest of leftovers of coated and impregnated wood, de-inking sludge from the paper processing, as well as other paints, varnishes, sealing materials, etc. Third, used tires, used activated charcoal, sought from both private and industrial chimneys. Fourth, from the medical and veterinary fields, bandages, chemicals, expired medicines, animal carcasses, and slaughterhouse waste. Fifth, the sewage sludge from factories and communities, spent greases and oils. Sixth, contents of normal rubbish bins, treated textiles and leather waste from hazardous sites, redevelopment measures, road sweepers and parks. The revised version of the 17th Federal Ambient Pollution Control Ordinance of 2003 also allows for the waste incineration plants incineration of waste requiring specific surveillance. The waste was formerly destined for hazardous waste incineration plants and refers to waste containing more than 1% chlorine in white. The other halogens, bromine and fluorine, unfortunately are not taken into consideration here, although it is common knowledge that plastic coating, sheeting, or casings used in electronics often contain up to 8% bromine in white, in form of the fire protection agents. Such waste have been earmarked for incineration in waste incineration plants at 1100 degrees in Celsius since 2003. Since mixing the special waste with normal household waste causes the chlorine white proportion to fall under 1%, incineration at 1100 degrees Celsius can be avoided. The combustion temperature can be reduced to the more cost-effective, higher than 850 degrees Celsius level. In exception at waste incineration plants, not hazard waste incineration plants levels. The halogen emission problems, however, remain. When these types of waste designated a refuse to refuel have a common is they are full of heavy metals from paints, pigments and stabilizers, full of halogens from softeners, flame retardants and preservatives, or from absorbed pesticides, herbicides and insecticides, full of toxic substances which are the technical preliminaries of more powerful toxins. Incineration clears the air, they say. It gets rid of our waste in keeping with the motto out of sight, out of mind. At least that's what is a waste incineration plant operators think, and people in general like to think. Or is it the other way around? Do these synthesis products of incineration go indeed out of sight, but then into our minds, into the liposome structures of our skin, our body, nervous and immune systems, into the food chain, into the nature?